Hello! Today we're going to discuss the retrospective, which is one of the Scrum events. However, before we get into that subject, let's consider two things. Number one, if you haven't done so, please watch the Inspect and Adapt video. The principles that retrospectives use are discussed in that video. Number two, if you are not in a Scrum team, maybe you are in a Kanban team or even a traditional team, but your team works as part of a team of teams, you may need to run retrospectives so to synchronize with the events of that group of teams. So this can be important for you to learn and understand. The retrospective happens at the sprint boundary, at the end of one sprint, one iteration, and before the beginning of the next. And the purpose of the retrospective is very simple and extremely important. Process improvement. How can we make our process simpler, faster, better? And that affects the people involved in that process of creating and delivering product, as well as the tools that we use to create and deliver the product. The retrospective is the key event for process improvement, for continuous improvement. When you go into a retrospective, you are going to look at your people, your processes, and your tools, and how you can improve them. Therefore, you're going to discuss things that went well and the things that didn't go so well. And the interesting thing that happens to a lot of teams is sometimes the sprint went so well that they don't have anything that didn't go the way they expected. And they think, okay, we're done, let's close it. That's usually a big mistake, because just because something went really well, it doesn't mean it will stay that way. And if something went really well, there are lessons to learn on how to reproduce that. And not only keep reproducing that success, but also to share those ideas with other teams so they can benefit as well. At the end of a retrospective, you must have action items, things that you want to do, things that you want to implement, or things that you want to experiment with for possible implementation. Those action items at the end of the retrospective should go into the backlog and should be prioritized with all the other backlog items. Because they're about process improvement, continuous improvement, they must have a high degree of priority. It doesn't mean that you have to do all of them at once, but they must have a high priority. In order for retrospectives to be valuable, in order for people to engage and really participate in a retrospective, you must always follow up with all those backlog items that you deemed for continuous improvement. One way for retrospectives to lose credibility and therefore their value, it's when the issue keeps coming back over and over and over again, and you put the same thing in a backlog over and over again, and nothing ever happens. If you do that, you are going to break Scrum. I often get questions from Scrum Masters that say, but Q, should we change the retrospective format because people tend to get bored with the format? Well, it depends on the team. I had teams that used the same format for over a year while I was still coaching them. And we never had any problem with that. Retrospectives were valuable, people were discussing important things, and they were taking action on those important things. There are other teams that they like to play with the format. Oh, let's do this a bit different. And there are many formats you can look up for retrospectives and try them out. However, if you keep changing the format and the results of the retrospective are not good, people are not talking, people are not engaging, ideas are not coming out, there are no action items to put in a backlog. The problem, it's very likely not the format. Whether you are the Scrum Master or a team member, the retrospective is extremely valuable. The retrospective is key for process improvement. I hope you like this video, and I'll be back soon with another one. Thank you very much.